So the first piece of gear that I want to show you that I use to record my videos is really just my phone. So I have something really quite old. It's a Samsung Galaxy S4. Again, like I said, I'm quite like a dinosaur. It continually runs out of space, but it does the job. And I can capture video, I can edit it, and really it's just it's another camera that I have with me. So switched over to recording on my phone now. I was recording with the little Canon here. So this is really all I've got aside from my phone. So I am using a Canon Ixus 175, and this is your basic entry-level point-and-shoot camera. It doesn't really have any input for a microphone, so I do have to work with pretty poor sound quality. As long as I'm recording in a quiet room, it does the job. If I'm recording outdoors, I'm mostly replacing the background sound with a background music anyway, so it works. I like this. It's light, portable, and I can really just bring it anywhere. Again, I have really basic gear. I do have an action camera. This is really old. I forgot when I purchased this, about 8 years ago now. It's a Kodak Play Sport. It's quite heavy. It's waterproof though, up to 3 meters. It's quite well built, so it's been smashed around. I took it to the Holi Festival. That's why you see there's a little bit of pink, and it holds up really well. So I really like this thing. I've rigged up a makeshift tether here so that I don't lose it when I'm in the water, like I said, because it doesn't float. You know, again, it does the job. It shoots 720p video at 60 frames per second. This one also shoots 720p video. I can't remember if it's also at 60 frames per second, but yeah, it's not high end, okay? Now, when I got the Kodak Play Sport here, it came with this little tripod. Now, it does fit my camera, so sometimes I will use it to mount the little Canon, and I will also use it to mount the Kodak Sport. So this comes in handy with just taking, positioning the camera in small spaces. It's actually quite flimsy, so it can't support anything heavy or substantial. So it really just suits these two. Now the last thing I have is actually a much larger Inca tripod. Now this is the Inca i3130B. Again, it's your entry-level tripod. I went to Harvey Norman one day and they had it on sale for $10. Normally I think they sell it for $30. So it's a good entry-level tripod. Again, I don't really have anything special. It's really lightweight, so it's able to support these two, but I'd be a little bit concerned trying to put a little bit of a heavier camera on here because any sort of wind could easily tip it over. So if you have a bigger camera, I would suggest getting maybe a more robust tripod, not this one. This one's really just quite thin. And that's really about it for my gear. We'll switch over to me using the desktop, and I'll show you some of the software that I use. Okay guys, we've moved over into the desktop here, and I'll talk about one more thing before, one more piece of hardware before we move into the software part, and that's my desktop. So I used to use a laptop and it was getting really old. It had an Intel i5 processor, just a normal, dual core processor. It really struggled with rendering video files, so it would take about half an hour to 45 minutes to render like a 5-minute video. So clearly I needed to move on. It wasn't something that was going to be sustainable long term if I chose to do more video production. So I actually got this, they call it a gaming PC, but it had the key element to it was really this processor here. It's an Intel i7. It's a quad-core processor. So if you're looking at getting any sort of hardware for video production, you're really looking at a quad-core processor. A lot of RAM. I'm not sure if the graphics card really helps out with the rendering of the videos, but certainly that quad-core processor is the key element. So I didn't want to invest any great amount of money, so I actually picked this up for around, like, what is this, $900. So that's not too bad, considering that an equivalent video editing system will run you about $3,000 brand new. So, you know, that's a ridiculous amount of money for videos that are just supposed to be for fun. Okay, all right, so we'll talk about software now. So as you can probably see here, this is my desktop. It kind of looks like Windows, but not really, but it's not a Mac, so what the hell is it? So this is actually a Linux desktop. So I use Linux. I use a Linux distribution called Linux Mint. If you want to learn more about Linux and how to get it installed, there's plenty of resources out there. Anyway, I'm not gonna harp on too much about Linux here. It's pretty good. I've used it for the last 10 years, Linux in general. It's come a long way. It's become quite user-friendly, but at the same time, it still has a bit of a way to go. Sometimes it can be a pain trying to install programs, and there's different versions of a software. So it's a bit of a pain, but at the same time, it lets me do what I want to do. So that's why I like to use it. Plus, it's free, so I don't have to worry about software licensing. Talking about video editing software now, when I got started, I used OpenShot. So OpenShot is your entry-level video editing software. It's a non-linear video editing software solution. So that means you can put multiple tracks. I believe that's what it is. You can actually download different versions of this. So I have the Linux version, obviously, but it looks like it's available for Mac OS and Windows. So if you're looking to try a video editing software, give OpenShot a go. It'll get you started. I got off of it because I wanted to do a little bit more advanced stuff, and it really just wasn't meeting my needs anymore. So I've moved on. I've moved on to something more advanced, and that is what you call Kdenlive, which pretty much just stands for KDE Non-Linear Video Editor. So they're very creative with their names. Anyway, this is a really high quality piece of software. Now, unfortunately, say you have a Linux distribution and you're familiar with Linux, it's actually really a bit difficult to get the most recent version. So the version that's available in your repositories are really out of date. They have a Windows version, but that's in a beta phase, and in the Mac OS, they have a really old version. So I don't recommend, like Kdenlive pretty much say, if you have Windows or Mac, rule it out. You're not gonna have a great experience. But if you have Linux, I suggest really just installing the app image. Snap is not available. Flatpak I tried, but it's no good. So, and like I said, the version in your repos is out of date. So app image is the way to go. And lastly, for sound, because I have a really poor camera, it doesn't record sound very well. So I've started to play around with sound, try to edit out some noise and try to enhance the sound quality, and I use a program called Audacity. Now, Audacity is cross-platform, so you can use it in Windows, Mac, and Linux. So this is a great program if you are on other desktop operating systems. Well, that's pretty much it for my software. The last thing I will do is we'll just open up Kdenlive, and I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, I'm sure some of you are really curious. So this is the app image, which means it's a self-contained program that runs right in one file. So we'll open this up. Bang, there it is. Let's open up an old project here just to show you what it looks like. So the last project I did was the workout video. Should open everything. It's just telling me like, hey, look, back your stuff up. But yeah, this is what it looks like, guys. So we'll zoom in here. So I've got the intro. You can add the titles, right? You've got your preview window here. It does show you, I've split out the audio here because I was trying to improve the audio quality. So editing out the noise, you can split it out and then rejoin the audio. It's got the audio wavelength here, so you can see when you pause, when there's dead sound and everything. It just helps with that video editing process, right? So that's one thing that's really cool about it. As like I said, you can add the titles. Here we've got a dissolve, which is a transition, right? I've added my my audio track down here. So it's really simple. It's like just building a puzzle, really, making cuts, putting together your storyline, and then when you're ready to go, you can go ahead and render it to a file type of your choice. So I've been rendering into MP4 format. You can do WebM. There's all these other different formats. I don't really know what they're for, but MP4 gets the job done. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that you found this helpful. If any of you had any questions about video editing, how to get started and whatever, I'm not the expert, but I can point you in some sort of direction that you can pursue. I will see you guys next week, and hopefully we'll have some more fun stuff again. See ya.